Welcome back. This is David Head again with you to go through an overview of the Contacts app, the FileMaker solution that's used with the FileMaker Training Series Basics materials. So let's hop straight in and have a look at the Contacts solution that you'll be using. So this is a starter solution that ships with FileMaker Pro. There are other FileMaker Starter solutions that you can access through this menu item. And you can see quite a lot of these: assets, contacts, content management, estimates. And quite a few of these have been specifically designed for the FileMaker 14 platform, as you'll see in the Contacts solution. So the Contacts solution file that we're going to use has 57 records. So these are records that have been added with dummy data for training purposes. Note that as on opening, there is a found set of just 2 records. This is very easy to adjust by clicking the Show All button, and now we're working with the found set of 57 records in the database. Okay, so in this file, we are currently looking at a layout which shows 1 record at a time. As the record indicator shows at the top of this screen, we're looking at record 6 out of 57. There are a lot of decisions that are made by the developer in developing a solution, and some of those decisions include how the data is going to be split up between fields. So in this case, some sensible decisions have been made to separate the person's name into their title, their first name and their last name, and so on with things like separating phone numbers and email addresses, and even the parts of the work address on the right hand side. In this case, the layout has been designed with space in mind, and economy of space has been used by separating the work addresses and the personal addresses into 2 panels of a slide control. So by clicking on the personal address, it shifts to another panel. In fact, it appears as if it's just replacing the address, but it's moving to another panel on the slide control. This is certainly an advanced technique employed by the developer using a slide panel and also a button bar. On each of those slide controls, you will also see the web viewer that's been used to display the Google map of the address. Again, to do it in the way that's been done is a reasonably advanced technique, but pushing an address to a web viewer is reasonably simple in the first instance. There is a button up here in the top right to be able to send contacts by email. This is a scripted process that has been set up by the developer, and clicking on the button simply creates an email with all the details of the current record. Another feature of this file is the links that have been added by the developer based on some of the data that's been entered into the record. So as you hover over these bits of text in the sidebar, you'll find that they are clickable links to either go to the website in a browser, send an email to either email address, open up a FaceTime session, or to open up Google Maps in a browser. The contact list button up here, although it looks like a tab object, is in fact a button, and that will move us to a separate layout. So notice here we're on the layout called Contact Details. Clicking on this button will take us to the list called Contacts, and this is a list of all of the records in the found set. As you move around the solution, you'll find that most of the buttons have tooltips associated with them to show you what they do. So that's very helpful in learning any application that has been developed for you. The developer has provided a filter tool here to be able to filter the list to any of the categories that the contacts may be set into. So for example, if I went to professional, We have a found set now of 31 records out of 57. If I filter instead to personal, you'll find that we have 13 records. We can also go back to all, which is the equivalent of pressing the Show All button as we saw before. So in this case, the developer has provided very easy searching by a single field for the user to make it very easy and quick for them to do that without learning anything about FileMaker. In a later video in the series, we'll be looking at how to manually find records and include maybe other fields in that find. There is also a sort button here that provides the user with a very easy way to sort by any of these fields. So for example, if we sorted by company, then we instantly get all of the Abbott Securities people together at the top of the list, followed by the Christie's Auction people, and we have these summary parts that have been included in the layout. So if we sort by, say, Work City, then we can see the people in Eugene and Morro Bay, and scrolling down to Paso Roble. The layout also has buttons for labels and to print. So clearly the labels button is to print labels for the found set of people. So in this case, if I wanted to select all of my professional contacts and simply print labels for them, then I can do that very easily and quickly, and I get 1 and a bit pages of labels. Close that window. The print button is similar, except that it's going to produce a different report from labels. It's going to produce effectively a printable copy of the contact list that we're seeing on screen without all of the graphic interface that you might expect on a screen view. There are also buttons here for import and export of records, so importing from a source such as a spreadsheet and exporting, for example, to a spreadsheet for someone who doesn't have access to your file. These solutions are being designed not only for desktop use with FileMaker Pro, but also for use with iPad, iPhone and the web. So as you have a look and dig into this Contact Starter solution, you'll find that there are a couple of layouts for the desktop, a couple of layouts for iPad, iPhone and similar for the web. If you look at this file in layout mode, you'll also find that there are additional layouts such as a startup screen and some labels in the contact list that you've seen. So those are not necessarily being displayed in browse mode for users. So if we move to, say, an iPhone layout, the contact details, you can see in the background what the contact details look like for the desktop that we've been working with. If we move to an iPhone, then you'll find that if we resize this window to the size of an iPhone, that this has been optimized for the screen space that would be available on such a device. And it's designed to be able to be scrolled up and down to see all the information on the device. So there's lots more to discover in the contacts file. You can have a look at the managed database area. It's a fully open solution. You can have a look at the scripts that have been written and have a good dig around in layout mode and see how it's been set up. But it's a good example of something that could be produced by a intermediate to advanced developer. Our next video we're going to be looking at working with data in this solution, so I'll see you on the other side.